Welcome to Coming In Hot. Thank you, Live, for the intro music. We are recording live from Darling New Media Studios in SAC. Now, today, we have a very, very special guest, the owner, the founder of Your Path Affirmed, the Life Guidance Coaching Forum. We got Paige Hurt in the building. What up, Paige?
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
It's going great. So let's just get right into it.
Sounds good.
Where are you from, Paige?
So even that is an interesting question.
That's what's up. Let's get it.
So I call San Antonio, Texas, my home because that's where my family is. It's where I graduated high school, spent a portion of my life, but I actually grew up abroad until I was about 13 years old in Okinawa, Japan, and Australia until I was 13.
Until you're 13, you said?
So the first time I ever lived in the States was, 1995.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you come from overseas, you land in San Antonio?
Yes. My dad was prior Air Force. So,
okay.
So a lot of people tend to settle once they retire.
Okay. Texas or just San Antonio?
Yeah, San Antonio for the most part. Big Air Force bases out there, Joint bases now, Army, all that good stuff. So the community there for the military members to transition out is massive. So yeah.
So how long were you in San Antonio?
On and off since 95. There was a period of time when I lived in Japan from 05 to 09 when I actually served in the military.
Oh, okay.
Air Force.
Yes. Air Force base as well?
Yes.
Okay. So how did you get to the Air Force base? Was it just, I'm going to follow in my father's footsteps? This is a great path for me. How did that all come about?
Well, the Air Force, of course, has been a part of my life, my entire life. It was not, I have to be honest, transparent. It wasn't something I ever wanted to really join because I felt like, I experienced a lot and I was just kind of ready to just do my own thing, right? And then I didn't plan like I should have coming out of high school and going into college. And
me too, Paige.
You too. Yeah. So then I real life, I got tired of paying for college out of my pocket. And I got tired of being in my parents' house when I was 18, 19 years old. And so I decided I like to say that I took a few steps backwards because it wasn't necessarily something I wanted to do, but I felt I had to do it. But with that decision, I grew up really, really fast. I was like, okay, I didn't do what I had to do for college, but this opportunity with the Air Force, I can really excel. And I had a really beautiful growth-based career. I created a lot of a huge network and some people that I met in the military who are like family to me now. So I served, I did well, and I'm in deep gratitude of everything that I learned.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that are against the military.
Oh, yeah.
I'm one of those people where I know we need the military.
Yes.
The way the government moves in the military is a little sketch.
Yes.
So what were some of the things that you saw while you're in the military? Because we're talking about being a female in the military as well, which is a whole nother can of worms. So I know you said you had a good experience, but was it different? Did you see any kind of difference between how people treated you as a female, as a Black female in the military than other males or anybody else?
Oh, 100%. You see it all the time. That's also how you form like your support group too. Being a Black woman in the military, I feel like you really have to start from the ground up. You have to earn your space. You have to, something that I teach my sons is that, you always have to be twice as smart or twice as educated and twice as hardworking than other people that are your peers. And that is probably from the close-mindedness of leadership. And you just have to be okay with that. Doesn't make it okay, but you got to figure it out, and there's nothing wrong with a little adversity, you learn a lot from it.
Yes.
So some things that you experience is, like I said, you always have to work hard to be smarter, all those things. You have to you really do have to be yourself. You have to be authentic to yourself, to not sell yourself short, to not sell anyone out.
Mm-hmm.
Even your hair,
Yeah.
there's a large, the women in the military now, they just got approved to start wearing like their ponytails out and long braids,
Mm.
and if I would have stayed in the Air Force, this year would have been my 19th year in the military. So
Okay.
just now I've been able to somewhat decently express my hair,
Oh, wow.
having it be restrained back to where it causes headaches and your
Mm-hmm.
hairline recedes and different things like that. So there were things that I had to do to just even still maintain how I wanted to present myself, even just with your hair,
Yeah.
your nails, different things like that. Yeah, the list goes on, but that is, in a nutshell, just some of the things that I experienced briefly with my time. And so even I have friends who are still in the Air Force, and the fact that they have the privilege to wear their hair a little differently,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm winning because I get to witness that,
Yes.
So
Yes. Well, you're a part of it. So yeah, you should feel like you won as well.
absolutely.
Yeah. And so how long were you in the military? Sorry, I think it
You're
cut
good.
out.
No, you're good. 7.5 years.
7.5 years. And do you retire from the Air Force Base? How does that work?
Well, so, I didn't retire. I decided to separate. My commitment was 6 years. I was a
Mm-hmm.
6-year enlistee. And when my ex-husband and I were getting ready to move back from Japan to San Antonio, I decided to extend out so I could get one more year on my enlistment to just kind of transition out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a total of 7.5 years.
Okay. So we talked about some negative stuff with the Air Force and the military. What are some of because you guys have things on the other end where they pay for school, you got
Oh,
medical, you
yeah.
got housing benefits. Like, tell us a little bit about what you use coming out of the military, because I don't want to just sit here and bash the military.
Oh no. I feel like there's great things and terrible things about every type of organization
Yeah.
you're attached to.
Mm-hmm.
But we can either focus on the negativity, or we can figure out what we're entitled to and take from that. And so one of the great things is when I was in the military, they paid for 100% of my school. So I got all of my undergrad, my
Mm-hmm.
associates, um, all paid for by tuition assistance when I was active duty. And
Nice.
then when I decided to get out of the Air Force, I used the Montgomery GI Bill post 9/11 to pay for my master's.
Mm-hmm.
And I even started a doctorate, which I decided to stop. And I'm dabbling with the idea of going into it, but more so a field that I prefer to go to school for now. So definitely the education benefits are a plus. Also, like you had brought up, medical
Mm-hmm.
disability is something that a lot of individuals who have served time don't always get.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they don't tap into those resources. Like, hey, you go into the military one way, you never leave the military the same way you came in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to take care of your body, your temple, the vessel that we were given to walk this life in. So you
Yep.
got to be aware. Actually, a part of my business does cater to veterans. Uh,
Okay.
so I like to help people transition out of the military. A lot of people don't know that the skills and the training that they have, every organization is looking for those type of individuals. They even have some organizations that specifically hire military. So
Mm.
I like to share space with a lot of my clients and translate a lot of their job descriptions and performance reports and say, hey, you could totally do this. Have you ever thought about this? Or if they don't want to do anything that's remotely related to where they were at in the Air Force or any military branch, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Let me help you create your life for you. And
Nice.
that token also, did you experience any injuries, anything
Mm-hmm.
psychological, anything emotional that may have been triggered while you were on active duty? You know, so there's a lot of meat there, because I've had quite a few friends get out of the military and it's like, oh, I'm fine, but that one time they rolled their ankle while they were on active duty, now they have a problem with it. And they
Mm.
realize that if this is documented, and say I go to Veteran Affairs and they don't give me a rating, like if it says on there, hey, ankle injury, but 0 rating, 0 is still a rating.
Mm-hmm.
But aggravated, you could go back and get payment from when you initially filed. So
Nice.
there are just so many things that veterans don't realize they're entitled to, you know? And
Yes.
it's not, and honestly, I will tell you that I learned that from my father, because my father was, he served 20 years in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
He was basically disabled while he was on active duty. And
Mm.
he has 2 knee replacements, really bad arthritis, just all those things. And once I got out of the Air Force and got my rating, he was like, wow, can you help me with mine? And
Mm-hmm.
help my own father get what he was entitled to for the service that he provided our country. And so those were like building blocks for that part of my business for veterans. But also, medical is expensive. You know,
Yes.
if you serve time, hey, you got to get what you're due at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I truly understand that. That is awesome, Paige.
Yeah.
And so Your Path Affirmed. What is it? How did it come about?
Oh,
You
man.
know, like where are we going with it? So
Hey,
let's start with you sitting down, like Your Path Affirmed just pops in your head. What are we doing with it?
well, you know what? It was actually a byproduct of my blog. I have a blog called The Naked Perspective.
Okay.
And The Naked Perspective is kind of like, as crazy as it sounds, it is an open therapy session. A lot of times, people don't know where to go with everything they're dealing with. And as I went through my massive healing process these last 6 to 7 years, I realized, man, let me articulate this and put this out there and see who else can identify with it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the Naked Perspective is biblical based. I am not a religious person, but I did spend some time in religion.
Mm-hmm.
I now consider myself to just walk with God.
I
And
like that. I'm
I,
taking that one.
yeah, I just, I walk with God. And so Your Path Affirmed is a base where I understand that I'm a co-creator with God.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that I know is for me is going to be on my path.
Mm-hmm.
So Your Path Affirmed is like, hey, you're going to get to your destination. You can go the straight and narrow, or you could take some detours and experience life. But no matter what, you're always going to get to your destination.
Yes.
Yeah, and just trust the process with that. You know.
Okay. Yeah. And like when you said that walk with God, like I'm somebody that kind of struggles with religion myself.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up like Roman Catholic, like super
Yeah.
Catholic household.
Amen.
And as the days and the years went on, I was kind of like, I just don't get, every Sunday we got to go, we got to do the whole thing over, and the whole year, and you just going back and forth. And when I got older, I was like I don't believe in God. But
Mm.
as I grew, I was like, there has to be somebody above me that created something,
Mm.
and I never said like, like I at first I was like, there's no God. But then as things started happening to me, and I started, hey, I need to get out of my own way.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody that struggled with still, to this day struggles with alcohol and drugs, things like that.
Yeah.
And I had to give something up to God,
Mm.
for me to get sober, for me to be the man that I am today. The reason I say why I still struggle with it is just because you can't go back to being a cucumber when you're a pickle. I crossed over into being a pickle,
You're exposed.
so
You're
I
exposed.
yeah, so I can't go back now.
Yeah.
So, with this that you're doing, um, so you're saying anybody could get on the blog, start talking,
Yeah.
how long has this been going on, Paige?
Oh, I released the blog back in October of 19, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a very routine person. I free flow in my life, and
How did you? Yeah, I guess I want to ask, like, when did your path affirmed? I know it started with the blog,
yes,
but you just start blogging, and then people just start coming and like
yeah.
talking. Oh, so it was just an organic thing.
Oh,
You didn't even know that
absolutely.
you didn't even know the shit was happening. You're just
Oh,
like, Okay.
No, I was just moving and in flow with life. And I was just like, okay, bet. I think, you know, I think this makes sense for me. And this is something that gives me life. And I know it's helping other people out. And so, you know, Your Path Affirmed was, it's basically everywhere I've been and a firm understanding and confidence in where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
But understanding that what happens today in this present moment is contingent upon, you know, that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I tell people all the time that sometimes we get so anxious that, and the only reason why anxiety is present is because we're either living too far behind us or too far ahead of ourselves. And we have so much to just experience in today.
Yeah.
Like let's just stay right here because the past no longer exists. But sometimes we tend to bring the past into today when it's not even relevant most times.
No.
And then tomorrow definitely isn't here. So why are we thinking so far ahead to where we can't just enjoy being here?
Yes.
So it's just reeling, you know, people who are open in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't, you know, as crazy as this sounds, being a creative life guide, I don't go out looking for clients. You know, I trust the process of life. If somebody is attracted to the light in me and how I move, you know, come walk with me. Let's go. Let's attack life. And not even in a way that I feel is good for you. I'm just a facilitator bringing out everything that you already have.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go and be patient with yourself. Show
Yes.
yourself grace. You know, we get so focused on trying to get somewhere and we arrive and it doesn't feel like anything that we thought it would. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I could go into, I was having a conversation with my girl yesterday and I was like, man, I don't ever want to miss out on the process and the opportunity of the present moment again, just because I'm trying to be somewhere else. Yeah.
Ooh. Dropping knowledge, Paige. Just dropping so much knowledge right now. Like I'm just like I'm mesmerized right now by these jewels. You know, like for somebody that, you know, I'm in the restaurant business and my life is looking forward. But as soon as I like let go is when I got to where I'm at today. And, you know, I always tell my staff, like, don't worry about the stuff that happened yesterday. You know, like this is a new day. We got to stay right here. We got to stay right now, you know, in the moment. And, you know, if something happens, we got to correct it in that moment as well. You know, we can't just keep going day after day. If we got somebody that's causing a ripple and, you know, in the kitchen, we gotta take care of it today. Why are we waiting until tomorrow? We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But if we sit somebody down today, tell them, hey, this is what happened, then they know in actual time how to move. You know, like, okay, I can't do this no more. So let me, you know, like, let me get on the right path. And what you're saying is, you know, that's just a little small part of what I go through. But no,
that's huge. That's actually huge because a lot of people are afraid of confrontation, you know, and because you don't want to make somebody feel some kind of way. And the reality is like, hey, I care and respect you enough to make you aware of what's going on now. Because if you don't correct it, they're going to continue to do more things, which is going to cause more of a setback long term. So you correcting it in that moment is big picture thinking. Like, you know, if I do this now, I can handle it now. And guess what? That creates more team cohesion, right? That creates, hey, I can say with my chest and know that you're going to adjust. You know, there's a lot of things there. So that's great. I don't think that's small at all. I think that's amazing.
Well, thank you.
Of course.
So your life guidance.
Yes.
You're not a life coach. What's the difference? What's the difference? Because I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's dig in a little bit deeper. Life guidance is what you do. Life coach is what they do.
Exactly.
What's the difference, Paige?
So coaching is it's just a title that I've never identified with, you know? Even growing up as an athlete, I played soccer most of my life and ran track. Depending on what we know as those titles and how we define those titles is how we're going to automatically operate in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not the kind of individual that wants somebody to depend on me. You know, I want you to rely solely on yourself. I need you to pull from everything that you're already equipped with and be confident in everything. So when I say guide, like I said earlier, I'm just kind of walking, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I might just be on your path. It may not even be for a lifetime. It may just be for this one little conversation and this lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Or who knows, we could be walking hand in hand and equal to one another. And that's the biggest thing. Like, I don't ever want people to think that they have all this work to do.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. You just have to acknowledge, operate in that energy, and then you ascend, and those opportunities will come your way to be and feel exactly who you want to be, and you know, feel the way you need to feel in your life to be content with it.
Mm-hmm.
So guidance for me is more so, like I said earlier, I touched on it a bit earlier about being a facilitator. Like, I'm just kind of out here to ask these thought-provoking questions so that you can figure it out, because you got it. You know,
Yeah.
just be patient with yourself. And I think I mentioned it earlier, not in this conversation, but in the email I said that my mantra, my life mantra is to be guided back to yourself and only for yourself. At the end of the day, all we have is us, you know, and that's not a bad thing. So many people think they need so many other connections external to us, but we're really walking this life out within ourselves. And there's this reel I watched a while ago, and I bring this reel up often because it just did so much for my soul. Uh, in there, they were talking about how we are the main character in our own life story.
Mm-hmm. I've
So,
seen that one. Yep.
yeah, you saw that. It's
I've
dope,
seen
right?
that one. Yep.
And so when I thought about that, I thought about, you know, being a child, and like you know, my walk with God, I was hardcore Catholic. My mom's from the Philippines, so that's usually like the primary belief system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had my first trauma. I was, this may be a little deep, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
That's what we're here for.
I was molested when I was 10 years old. And I did everything right in terms of, you know, talking to my parents about it, letting them know what happened. And nothing happened. They didn't protect me. And it's because of the lack of confrontation. You know, to me, growing up, I understood that peace was just making sure that nothing, you know, changes
Yeah.
when initially I was suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And much older, you know, as an adult, I learned that sometimes you got to fight for your peace.
Yes.
And so, you know, I went through that trauma. And then I remember being so inquisitive and just asking my parents like a million questions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is there a God? Why would God allow this to happen to me?
Mm-hmm.
I did everything right. Who's supposed to protect me? I told you guys and nothing happened. I'm sitting here on this Air Force base as a child, watching this man who violated me walk around like nothing happened.
So this is an older man, or was it somebody
Yeah.
around you saying it was an older man?
Well, I was an adult. It was an adult.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was 10 when it happened. And at that point, I realized that, you know, ain't nobody gonna protect me like me.
Mm-hmm.
But I need something to lean on that is bigger than me, that is greater than me. And so my parents just didn't know, you know, how to adjust to that. So they just dropped me off at church. And that's when my freedom walk started in God. That's when I dabbled in all types of religions. I dabbled in Catholicism, hardcore Baptist, Protestant, non-denominational, until I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and walk with God and see how that feels.
Yes.
You know, and like I said, I spent a long time in religion. So God's word is written on my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read it every day to reflect on it, but every time I need it, it's brought to my remembrance. And thank God for Google, because I could go figure out what scripture it is I need to go reference, and it comes up. You know what I mean? So I learned that my walk with God was pivotal in order for me to be who I am. And I love, if my parents did anything right, it was the fact that they allowed me to figure out my own salvation, you know, my own, who my savior was going to be. They did that right. And Also, I want to touch on something else with my parents. I love them. I don't have a very deep relationship with them, but they did everything that I needed to be who I am.
Hell yeah.
And for that, I have deep gratitude.
I am the same exact way with my parents. So crazy. Like, me and my parents were really surface, like we're, hey, how you doing? Just recently with my pops, he was actually on the pod, and my mom this last year. And it was probably the most I've ever heard about like their background, just, yeah. And, like I asked the questions, but I just never did before, it was just one of those things. But when you just said they got you to where you needed to be so you could take the next steps in life, that's exactly what my parents did. I had a house, I had a roof over my head, I had clothes, I had shoes, I had food, and then everything else I had to take care of, but at the end of the day, I don't know if this happened with you, Paige. When you go back to them, you kind of just talked about when you're 10 years old and you got molested on the Air Force base. But this is me. When I go to my parents and I'm like, I did X, Y, and Z when I was 19, or they'll be like, nah, you did it. No, there's no way you could. Like, this is my story, like I'm just trying to tell you, this is how I was, like this is what I was going through at the time. Do you have those same kind of things as you grew up? You tried to go back and be like, hey, like, I don't know if you knew this about me, but I did this. And they're like,
oh, for sure. Absolutely. It's definitely because I wanted more from my parents. I definitely went back and tried to open up that wound, because I don't want to walk in life with resentment towards anyone. Life is too short. I'm all about forgiveness. I'm all about, walking away if a relationship becomes too toxic. And I actually had to do that. When I got divorced, I didn't have the emotional support that I would have wanted from my parents. But then you think about it, it's like if they had it to give, they would have given it to me. They didn't have it. And I remember talking to one of my girlfriends about this. It was back in 2019. And I actually wrote a blog post on my parents, and it was called Rebuilding Burnt Bridges. And I am huge on repairing if it's possible, and not just for me, for them, And so my girl, she's a Buddhist, and she, it was actually the first time I ever met her. And she was like, well, the Buddhists believe that we choose our parents to teach us the lessons that we need to learn in this life. And that altered my perception of them. That was the first time I saw my parents as human beings and not as my parents. And it was very important for me. God saw that it was important for me to see the fact that I had to go back and think about the conditions that they grew up in and what they didn't get from their parents. And so when I think about all the things that they've been through, the things I do know about what they've been through, I'm like, man, they actually gave me a lot. They gave me a lot. How can I be mad at them? And even my own conditioning growing up and looking at my friends' parents and like, oh, they're doing all this now. Why can't you do this? If they had it, they would have.
Yep. Yeah, no, I totally, that's crazy. Woo.
So yeah, I do go back. I remember I actually confronted my parents about what happened to me as a child. And my mom, oh, your father, you know how he is. But I'm like, but where's your responsibility in it?
Yeah.
And my father, oh, I don't remember. And then I realized that you can't have conversations with people who are unwilling to have conversations.
Yes.
For what? They ain't ready. They haven't even acknowledged that it happened. If anything, they try to hope I didn't remember. I don't always remember every damn thing that happened to me. Well, first of all, I remember I did, it was that thing. And I realized that I was keeping them in a space that they regretted, but they didn't know how to say sorry. Yeah. And I also had to understand that they each have their own walk with God and their own process. Mm-hmm. And I remember even my father telling me one time, he was like, I don't even know how you turned out the way you did because I didn't give you any of that. so I countered back with, well, Dad, I learned what not to do from you. And so that's kind of like our dynamic now. Like, I know that my father lives in God bless him. I know that my father lives in a place of such unforgiveness and regret towards me that he doesn't even call me anymore. The only time I talk to my father is when I call him. Mm-hmm. That's between him and God. They ain't got nothing to do with me. Yep. I told my dad, I was like, I forgave you forever ago. So when we gonna work, when we gonna have this relationship?
Wow.
Oh,
I could never, and I'm sorry to go off topic here, but my daughter is my life. Like, I love her so goddamn much. Like, I like she'll like go away with the grandparents for a weekend, and I just feel like a boy, like I'll just like I'll go pick her up, and then she gets around and starts running all over the place, and I'm like, I should have left you there. But she's my heart, like I only have one. I have a stepson, but I only have one daughter, and like, oh my God.
No, that's beautiful. What I love about that is that you were truly the first example of a man in her life.
Yeah.
And that's sacred, and you're protecting that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And she messed around a couple of weeks ago and said she wanted to be a chef. I was like, no, I did all this so you don't have to do it. She's 5. She's 5. So I'm always like, what do you want to be? You want to be a doctor? You want to be like, what do you want to be? I want to be a chef like you. I want to cook. I'm like, oh, it's too much. It's too much.
You gotta let, it's so funny. Like, so I don't know if you know this. I have 3 sons.
Oh, okay.
15, 13, and 9.
Ooh. Yeah. You don't have no food in that house.
Man, listen. I'm like, didn't we just go get groceries? I'm like, and I'm divorced, I got a single income household. Bless God, I got it. But it's like, I'm like,
over at Costco twice a week.
Okay, I be in line to renew my membership. So, but they're a lot. But with my sons, and they're all so different. But I always try to teach them that, your differences are a beautiful thing because each of you need what the other one has.
Yep.
And I'm huge into exposing them into everything. I'm like, well, let's try this, let's try that. But then also understanding that as men, especially young Black men, they need to figure out what they want for themselves and pursue that. And I want them to have those challenges with me so I can see the level of resiliency and how they're going to adjust to adversity. So I let them pursue whatever they want.
Yes.
I remember my oldest son, he gonna hate me if he ever hears this, but
don't worry, nobody listens to this, so you're good.
Listen. So I was like, I told him, I was like, hey man, you're athletic, but you're not an athlete. Okay. You don't have that grit, you don't have that desire, you don't have that love for it. Right? Iris. And I'm pretty athletic, for the most part. Like, I still run with them. I could, keep up with them. I could beat 2 of them. Simeon and I, my middle son, him and I are like twins. So we're always battling. Like last year, we decided to train for a half marathon.
Okay.
And we run it, and he was my pacer. And then there's moments when I pace him. So we're very much alike. But my oldest son, Tyrus, he was like, yeah, I think I want to play tennis. And I was like, man, you like 15. You trying to do it for fun? You trying to do it for like what? Like, what are we doing? You know, athletes are like, they get trainers at like 3 now, and you know, they've been in the game for like 12 years at that point, you know. So, so I was like, all right, let me go get some tennis rackets and some balls, and we'll go hit it. And I'm like, if I'm doing better than you, then that's a problem, because I don't ever play tennis. And so I even gave him, and I was kicking his ass, you know. I really was. And I told him, I was like, well, if you're really serious about this, go get you a coach. You have a phone, go look somebody up, and we'll see how you feel about it. Never did that. So I'm like, that's the grit I'm talking about. Like, you don't got it. If you really want it, then you will go figure that out. And you're a young man. I'm not going to be holding your hand through your life.
Yes.
You know, I can't. I would be crippling you long term if I did that.
Tell my son that every single day. I'm like, dude, like you gotta figure it out, man. Cause I could tell you, you know, but you gotta get out there and you gotta live as a Black man in America. You know, like I'm out here doing the same thing that you gonna have to do, you know, like, and he's one of those children that very smart kid, you know, very different from me. Like I had to work my ass off to get grades to play sports. He's just one of those kids, you know, read a couple things and get the A's, you know what I mean? So exactly. Yeah, so I'm like, dude, you got it, you know, like if you just pursued whatever you want to do, you know, like he was really into YouTube for a minute. But just like your older son, I was like, all right, do your YouTube channel. Let's, you know, like tell me what you want to do. I can help you out. I got a social media team. I got stuff that can help you with it, but you got to tell me what you want to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, cause I don't know anything about, that's why I have a social media team, cause I don't have the time to do it, you know? So, you know, he never did it. And, you know, like, this is one of those things, like now he's really into video games. I'm like, you can be that person that does a video game like this. You know that, right?
Yes.
But you gotta put the work in. I've already put the work in. I've been cooking, you know, for 21 years now. You know, I put the work in, and now I got a business that I have to run. I can't be running what you want to do too, you know. Like if I put my head to it, I'm sure I could figure out social media, everything, but I ain't got the time because I got a family to feed. So
I hear that more than you know. Trust me.
Yes. So, you know, all this stuff that, you know, like we've been talking about, it's all mental health. You know, it's all helping your mental health. What are you just doing the self-affirmations every day? Is that how you get through the day? Like, what are some of the things that you do? That's, you know, you're guiding other people's lives. How do you guide your life, Paige?
Oh man. Well, first of all, I have to be open.
Okay.
Being open is the biggest thing. I'm not a routine person when it comes to prayer, meditation, and things like that. Like I obey where I'm at in each moment, right? So for instance, when I wake up in the morning, the first hour is probably me staring at the ceiling.
No phones. No phones.
No.
You're staring at the ceiling. All right.
I think about how I want to feel in that day. You know, like I don't rise and get out of my bed until I have a firm understanding of how I want to cultivate whatever it is in my day before I get out of my bed.
Okay.
I think, you know, God, source, universe, whoever you want to refer to the higher being as, first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity for life again today. You know, whether that is verbalized or just thought about in my mind, I believe that prayer is just constant communication. It is not something that is a ritual. I feel when it comes to meditations, I live in a meditative state. It sounds crazy, but I do. I'm always in thought. You know, at first I thought I was kind of introverted, and my best friend, she was like, well, no, you extroverted as hell, like for real, you social. I was like, right. But she was like, but you're so introspective that it may seem a little introverted. Right, because I like to be in my head, and I like my head. I like the space I've created in my mind when it comes to mental health, because I know how to be on my own. I know that it's a process of being uncomfortable with that. There were so many moments in my life where I was always reaching for external connections in order for me to be validated or feel better about myself, when maybe that the point of that day was for me to be low, you know? And that's what life is. Life is, we always think that life is supposed to be lived on this platform of being high vibrational. That's not life. You know, even if you look at it from a biblical perspective, the book of Ecclesiastes talks about, you know, there's a time for everything in life, a time to be born, a time to die, a time this and a time that. And once I understood the design for life, I know that there are going to be those hard moments. But I also know that I'm equipped to handle those hard moments. And just like every great moment subsides, every hard moment is also going to subside. But you got to be okay with that.
Yes.
It's a process. It's not something that you're going to learn overnight. You might have many learning opportunities with the same exact situation. But just understanding that, how to compartmentalize, how to place those things where they need to be placed and not carry them into today, to not allow it to affect you, is what it really is. And I remember I had this video, it was on my social media from about a year ago. And I remember I would wake up in the morning and be like, I'm gonna have a great day and this is gonna happen and blah, blah, blah. And it seemed like everything in that day was like testing me. You know, it was like, oh, you got a flat tire, now you gotta go get air. Oh, you know, your doctor's running late for your appointment. Oh, the line is too long. I can't get anything that I want to eat because I got to get back to work at a certain time. Like, all these things kept happening. And then I had to realize, like, why do I even look at that as bad? What is bad? What is negative? What is a good day? Just because everything feels good, does it really mean it's a good day? When the reality is those tough moments are actually really good for you. They're foundational and pivotal for your next step. So mental health, a lot of different things that I know I keep circling back around to that. I want to make sure I don't go off on a tangent, but
you're good.
I'm good. Okay, great. So there's a lot of things. I believe that it's important to withdraw. So meditation is something that I do, whether I'm walking around and living in a meditative state, or I take some time out to actually close my eyes and just focus on my breath. I do those things. I do everything from yoga to boxing. I just flew in from Denver, seeing my high school friend this past week, and we boxed twice. Felt like I was going to die each time, but it was it was necessary, you know. And then I turn around on Sunday and go to Self-Care Sunday, and I'm doing yoga and breath work. So it is like tapping into so many things that will add value, and not thinking that, oh, just because. And I also lift and run, so I do everything, because I know that I'm going to get some type of value added to me if I am open to everything. You know, there's more ways to get everywhere. And that's kind of how I look at mental health, whether it is affirmations, whether it is talking to a friend, whether it is me screaming because I need to release something. You know, if I have to blog real quick, you know, if it's, there's so many different ways that we can maneuver in life, and there's nothing that's wrong or right. You know? Just what are you open to?
Nah, that's dropping jewels, Paige. Hey, nah, my wife, she just got me into screaming into the pillow. She was like, she had some shit going on, and she was like, I just need to scream in the pillow. And then I was like, you know, like I had a few bad weeks back, you know, employee shit. And she told me that, and I just tried it. I was like, oh, this is great. It's amazing. You know, like, so, but you mentioned a little bit about Self-Care Sundays. Yeah, we had Nicole on last week. What's your part of Self-Care Sundays? Because I still need to get down there one of these weeks when I have some kind of time. But what do you do at the events, and how did you become a part of Self-Care Sundays?
Well, you know, it's interesting. My friend Bernadette, she's like my big sister, and I moved to Sacramento for my son to play basketball. And it's crazy.
Which one is this? The oldest one? It's not athletic.
Nah, it ain't him. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'd move for him because I take him with me though.
Yeah, there you go.
Whatever he needs. Bless his heart. You know,
that's what's up.
He's figuring it out though. I'm proud of him. But it's for my son Simeon. My son Simeon basically came out the womb wanting to play basketball. Right. And he has always had that grit. Like he's that kid that would outwork anyone, regardless of how old the kid is. Like he just turned 13 and he doesn't mind going one-on-one with adults. You know, nice. He has that grit and he's open and he knows it's a process. And I always tell him to, you know, pace himself because you're gonna have a long career.
Yep.
You're just getting started, man. You ain't even started really. And so I moved here. The reason why I brought that up is because that's how I met Bernadette, because our sons play on, they're within that program.
Okay.
Together and stuff. And so one day she's like, oh, look, we don't have the boys. Let's go to the self-care Sunday. And I'm like, okay, bet, pull up, let's go.
Yeah.
And, that's when I first met Nicole. And Nicole just, you know, she is this beautiful soul.
She is. My goodness.
She approached me one day I went to the self-care Sunday. It was amazing. We did so many dope things there. We had like a light hit workout and then we did some painting, you know, just all these things that, you know, we lose sight of. When we start adulting and we have kids and different things like that. And I just loved the whole concept. And then Nicole reached out to me and I worked on one of her projects with her. And her and I have just been, you know, walking in life together hand in hand. And I don't have a particular role with Self-Care Sunday, but I heavily promote it. I've brought a lot of people to it because I know what it did for me.
Okay.
And, you know, when I started my self-love, self-care journey, it is something that starts from, it's the acknowledgement internally, because everything within us begins on the insides, right? We realize that we're not in alignment, like this doesn't feel good, or there's some bullshit, or whatever it is, you know, like something's got to change, you know? And naturally, as human beings, we acknowledge it internally, and then we look externally to us to try to add these things that help us feel good, right? And so I remember self-care. I remember I was like 34 and I've never had a facial before. Why have I not taken care of the skin I'm in? Like, what am I doing? And so I reached out to my girl, Morgan, who is in Light and Beauty out here in Sacramento. And she is amazing. If you need a facial, she is amazing. Maddie or Mauricia, great. But so I'm saying all that to say that there were all these things external to us that we were like, okay, this makes sense. I need to add this to my routine. I need to add this to my life. And Self-Care Sunday does do that. It steers you in a way to where it's like, you know, let me take some time out for me. Let me be in my headspace. Let me go, you know, go get some of these crystals that are dope that protects my energy. Or, you know what, when was the last time I bought myself a new pair of sunglasses? Or, you know what, let's go get these mimosas over here. You know, like whatever it is, like no one can tell you how to take care of yourself but you. But it all starts with you getting out and connecting with people and seeing how people move in life to where it's like, yo, I could use that, you know? And I believe that connection is the most important thing in this life. We never get anywhere on our own, right? And so that Self-Care Sundays provides connection network in order to be reconnected to yourself, which is, of course, like my mantra, like I said earlier, to be guided back to yourself and only for yourself.
Whew. Hey, we're getting close to the end here. You down to play a couple games?
Yeah. I'm a little scared, but I'm down. I was kidding.
Nah. It's top five. It's top five, but it's geared towards you.
Okay.
All right. So top 5 mantras or life quotes.
Ooh, okay. So I actually just got a quote tatted on my leg. And it is Maya Angelou.
All right.
I have this statement, kind of like, I guess you could call it reference as a hashtag. I say Maya raised me. There was a lot of her readings that I really dived into when I was a child, especially with the childhood that I had. She helped me connect to myself as a child. And so The quote is, "A woman in harmony with her spirit is like a river flowing. She goes where she will without pretense and arrives at her destination prepared to be herself and only herself."
Nice. Nice.
My next one, as you can see, I have a million tattoos. I'm sleeved out. I have this quote on my bicep, and it says, "God doesn't call the equipped; He equips the called."
I like that.
And that was from this. When I was heavy in religion, there was this evangelist named Ollie Litt, and she was just this force to be reckoned with. And I just used to wait on every one of her words, and I applied them to my life. So that's where that one came from.
Okay.
I have "Abide in Me" tatted across my chest.
What was that?
Abide in me.
A bite in you?
Abide.
Abide. Okay. Abide. Okay.
And it's actually over my heart. And that is actually a scripture reference, because I want to say it's in the book of Peter. I could be wrong, but where God talks about, hey, if you abide in me, I'm always going to abide in you.
Nice. Love
it. Let's see here. There was this quote I sent my friend earlier, and it's just, I freestyled it. And God doesn't allow things to happen to us. He allows them to happen for us.
Nice. Nice.
Thank you.
This is the best top 5 of all time. All right. Yeah. All right. You got one more.
Oh, one more. Okay. Let me go to one of my personal quotes that I wrote. Let's see here. So I am writing a book, like I said earlier, and it is kind of like, there's affirmations. There's going to be introspective thoughts. It's a very free flow book. Okay. So it's real conversations are like outwardly spoken prayers. They are vulnerable, raw, and naked. The intentions behind the words we speak create.
There you go. You killed that one. All right. Top 5. Top 5 things someone should do daily to affirm their love for themselves.
Ooh. Repeat that one more time. I want to make sure.
All right. So,
okay.
All right. We'll just do 5. My producer, she worded this all weird. All right. 5 things people should do to affirm their loves for themselves.
Their loves for themselves?
Yeah. 5 things they should do daily.
Ooh, okay. So first thing is accept yourself.
Okay.
You have to love where you're at in order to create where you're going. You have to, you know. Yep. You have to also understand that life is a process.
There you go.
You're not going to get there by hating where you're at again. You just got to understand that it's part of where you're going.
I got to tell that to the kids every day. I'm with you on that one.
No, calm your ass down. I'm going to say this because we all face some type of challenges, and I'm going to, bring back what we were talking about with our parents earlier. This is something that I share with my sons all the time. If you can overcome the adversity of a parent, you can overcome anything.
There you go. Woo. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that is a life work, right?
Yes.
Let's see here.
Got one more.
Okay. Okay, one more. Growth provides the freedom to continuously outgrow.
Ooh.
That's one of my quotes. And,
all right.
And I say that, and the reason why I say that is because it's very important that you got to be okay with growing and outgrowing people, things, jobs, whatever it is. You got to be okay with that, because life is for living.
Yep.
You got to live. In order to receive more, you got to let go.
Yep. You got to get up. You got to live your life for yourself to make anybody outside of you better. You
Absolutely.
know, like if you're not sitting here and, taking care of yourself, how are you going to take care of anybody else?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that common saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yep.
You can't, like, I mean, I'm sure you have, especially with the business that you're in, you're going,
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
When is the time that I take for myself to withdraw, to affirm myself, to make sure that my cup is overflowing so that I have stuff to give.
I struggle with that daily, Paige.
That's good, though. Yeah. That's endurance. You get some endurance, you're good.
All right, so we at the end here. So at the end of this show, we come in hot. So anything you want to get off your chest, it could be stuff that we've been talking about today. It could be something totally different. It could be political. It could be self-care. It could be something funny. So our Paige Hurt, it is time to come in hot. What you got, Paige?
Oh, man. Just be okay with just being. Just be. You don't have to get anywhere other than where you are right now. Be present, be content, and be patient with yourself.
That's hot.
Thank you. Deep gratitude.
That's scorching right there. So go ahead, plug everything you got to plug, website, blog, book. Yeah. This is the time. Do it.
For sure. So if you have an Instagram account, you can follow me at I am Paige Hurt _1. My website is iampagehurt.squarespace.com. On there, you will find my blog. Since I am a creative life guide, there is also an opportunity to put in a consultation with me. I would love to share space with you. I would love to help you attack life. I would like to help you just be. So you, from that space of being, you can create.
I might be in there soon.
Oh, that come through. I appreciate you. No, really, what you're doing out here and just being able to have a space with you on this forum is humbling. I look forward to growing a connection with you.
Thank you. All right, so this is Chef C's coming in hot. Make sure you subscribe to anywhere that you listen to your podcast. Don't forget to check out our YouTube page, and you can also holler directly to me at Chef C's. You could come get those delicious, mouth-watering hot chicken sandwiches, www.nashandproper.com, at nashandproper, at nashandproper.eg to go to our new Elk Grove location. Thank you, Paige Hurt. Really appreciate you for coming through. We'll talk to you next week. Peace. Love y'all.
Thank you.